the first to know in Nsem-Pii TV.
And President John Dramani Mahama suspended Chief Justice Ana Ono Ewoho Yema ni Gertrude Araba Esaba Saki Torkono Nina and it's an insa petitions at the Ghana manfo bi say a kwan a Chief Justice Fasto Eyen Adwuma and sheda and saw a misa enti ebeya yenino emfiri ho said ye yenya yenim the story no John Dramani Mahama ete committee chairman na oda committee no ano Justice Gabriel Scott Puaman ono na eda committee no ano mino kasa ide committee no etimi the report no aboshi de akwa akopie mu ewo Jubilee House se adwuma omampani de ema wono won aye awie mino wo kasa ide ode letter no etimi ema omampani no edian and Justice Gabriel Scott Puaman eka ho yenko nkotie.
So do tune in. Well, news coming in, we understand that the committee looking into the CJ case has offered their report to the president. And Elton Brobe joins me in studio with more on this. Elton, what do we have?
So, what we are learning that this just happened. So, the committee led by the Supreme Court Judge Gabriel Puaman met with President Mahama and presented their report to the president. The report is contained in a sealed envelope. They will not disclose details of the report plus their recommendations, but I can just read to you part of a conversation that took place between the committee and President Mahama. Part of it reads, and this is the account of the chairman of this particular committee. He said there's been considerable interest in our work shown through comments and opinions by Ghanaians and international observers as well. However, the committee restrained itself all along from reacting, even when blatant false statements made about members of the committee and our work. To the committee, our mandates and remit are set out under Article 146, Clause 7 and 8 of the 1992 Constitution is clear, and to inquire into the petition in camera, hear the persons as in whom the petition have been brought in her defense by herself or by a lawyer or other experts of her choice, and then to make recommendation to the president. As I have said upon, 3 petitions were referred to us, and though all 3 petitions seek the same relief, each petition is distinct and would succeed or fall on its individual strengths and weaknesses. Mr. President, without disclosing the substance of the proceedings, and since in-camera proceeding is not the same as in secret, we can state that in respect of the first petition, we received evidence by Mr. Daniel Ofori, the first petitioner, through 13 witnesses. Similarly, the Chief Justice in her defense also called 12 witnesses, including expert witnesses, as she is entitled to do under the Constitution. The Chief Justice testified personally at the inquiry and was cross-examined. The committee received about 10,000 pages of documentary exhibits from both sides. There were 4 lawyers that represented the first petitioner and 4 lawyers representing the Chief Justice. The President, after critical and dispassionate examination and assessment of all evidence, including the expert evidence against the provision of the 1992 Constitution and the relevant laws, we have without fear or favor arrived at the recommendation on the first petition. The recommendation is contained in this envelope, which we hereby handed over to you. The second petition, as well as the Chief Justice, pleaded with the committee that the second petition, which would have been next to be inquired into, be adjourned, and we acceded to their request. So this is the conversation that took place between President Mahama and the committee.
Right.
The recommendation has been forwarded to the President in a sealed envelope, details of which.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President, in March this year, you received 3 petitions pursuant to Article 146 of the Constitution 1992 for the removal of Chief Justice Gertrude Araba Saki Torkono, and the public was made aware of this fact. Subsequent processes dictated by the Constitution and the decisions of our Supreme Court were gone through, culminating in the establishment of our committee under Article 146, Clause 6 of the Constitution. The nation was further duly informed, and when we commenced our work on the 15th of May 2025, the Minister of State for Government Communications was briefed and notified the public about it. There has been considerable interest in our work, shown through comments and opinions by Ghanaians and international observers as well. However, the committee restrained itself all along from reacting, even when blatant false statements were made about members of the committee and our work. To the committee, our mandate and remit is set out under Article 146, clauses 7 and 8 of the Constitution. It's clear, and it is to inquire into the petitions in camera, hear the person against whom the petitions have been brought in her defense by herself or by her lawyer or other expert of her choice, and then make a recommendation to you, Mr. President. As I have said above, 3 petitions were referred to us. And though all 3 petitions seek the same relief, each petition is distinct and would succeed or fail on its individual strengths or weaknesses. Mr. President, without disclosing the substance of the proceedings, and since in-camera proceedings is not the same as in secret, we can state that in respect of the first petition, we received evidence by Mr. Daniel Ofori, the first petitioner, through 13 witnesses. Similarly, the Chief Justice in her defense called 12 witnesses, including expert witnesses, as she is entitled to do under the Constitution. The Chief Justice testified personally and was cross-examined. The committee received about 10,000 pages of documentary evidence from both sides. There were 4 lawyers that represented the first petitioner, Daniel Ofori, and 4 lawyers represented the Chief Justice. Mr. President, after critical and dispassionate examination and assessment of all the evidence, including the expert evidence, against the provisions of the Constitution and the relevant laws, we have, without fear or favor, arrived at a recommendation on the first petition. The recommendation is contained in the envelope which I now give to you.
Intervention of the military. Here, trap for they are in charge. In fact, the settled principle is that a register a certain external threat be a move do a who Oyeneke CB by so and San Abia Obefrenian CD, CB, me here or more. But if you have deployed 5,000 men, 5,500 men, they are saying that they can handle the security situation. That is fine. Yes, sir. There are some facts. Be a fake police uniforms. A being sat can be what, Marcy, and a being sat can be one kind. I am no omenimu face mask. Omudi embo a year omata dealing. Omuba cause problems. The best say IGP.
But have you reported that to the police service?
Oh yes. You know more directly. You intel biano. You can and then so when say National Peace Council so Sh0cks their breast say on be so much no we will fully participate. Sanse mo nyina na yebeka. Sanse ne yenye din na aya yenye din ni obi a yese okuta fake police uniform bi okumase. Any din obi okuta fake uniforms ni bi won kan. It will be forced to put it out.
What did Dino? I'm a post. What did Dino my post for now?
Oh, and
I see, but what military presence be one?
From time I you who Bakubia, me am a reporter, you know. We have not seen the presence of any military. I know about the last week Tuesday morning, and I'm saying, yeah. Na any threat kusi kwaso and we reported and no you book the CDS na military force or officially almost sanction any operation be involving military be okatia any busa police in penny so almost sanction any operation be of military a war okatia they putting out.
So finally, at the end, I also say, any in a son in Shasoma, Adeshia Waquatia, say one in fa mo candidate imagine mo na na mo hold the image na the late Kumi Anemu e dey nsem na mo kan
oh ni di kai ene se ya ka se abato we e ya abato a ene si Kumi e se bo se ode oba besom ofama oni akwatiafo betena yi wode nhihye beba empu ema kwa no bojwa dwuma mu yi kwa no obema interest free loans ene ode no common finance so be yempuntu tuma in fact eye candidate die no kwasem ye nipa nim ne bebre na doye na hofama ene ni dwumadi a odi ewo constituency ni eti kolomon kwame asomadu die ye nim ne pa na nye tosu mienu nso ye eye ekwan a yenuanom NDC fo ede eye yenua NSC Kumi faso ye NS nye se bia o de mane mienu ana miensa na nan enum oha apembina edi nkunimu o di over 2000 votes na edi nkunimu NDC fo etwe na botoa ma in fact even candidate also to say na onam de bia na o ka say oh there will be by election na kwatia oh akwatia de enche bia by election oh enche bia by election na ebesra akwatia fo nyina ne se eye abranti a otu ne ho si wo so ba besom na modo no say ne munyam person kum bi wo ha o se de mano a yemfa say ne munyam pe no emfa ma eye Solomon Kwame Asomadu no betoa eye enyuma pa no wa hyase ene boshe akese a na eno so wa hyase so ebiem kwabney best ene ya to petrol mu over 5%.
Yen concentrate on akwati enwi.
Oh, dem me kasaba. Akwati afaso motor petrol, motor diesel. Me kasaba. Minus awaha motor diesel. Minus awaha motor petrol. Omo mu ye adwuma farmers awaha motor petrol, motor diesel. Obi atena ke me ba say, aha. Omo ye adwuma farmer. They need to punish this government for promise and all by musumi be watchum. Ya to petrol mu kwa ben presa ama ya sade 4 cedis bia sa to 1 gallon so eti ene ya yakwakoto about chine ya to petrol mu ni we are calling on akwatiafo yina obi bia tienka o fi de no kwasemi akwatipa so they need to punish the NDC government for almost insensitive decision and yes to petrol me be obia team kan wo to preman wo dynasty wo pinaman seki krum yesre muntuntia and
I see
bakrasi en empatemu swabe wenchi muntuntia eye NDC candidate no or number saying number 1 on the ballot.
Mustafa, I'm going to wrap up. Mustafa, thank you for your time again. You agree to Yankomwa Shasi and say, dear Abia Nanke Yama Hoyobia Bano, and I'm a first to Metre Mahusi Amodeba, a year era, the late and the Kumi, ni 40 days, no Asiana.
Yo, of a minute, one may face it from Kaka.
Jim FM.
Oh no, crowd there. I can need Bapa. Me did say Otia Mamlase. Call a year, call 1 week. 1 week that. Yam fat and no year, 1 week. Normally, 1 week here, time one. You could decide on a die a year. We bar or some million shoe bar, other boy. We bar or some million cramming some cars in Miss Boy, Sana, a mamma extra. Number 2, say them Dick and Kai, maybe Moody, near walk campaign grounds. Anna, almost friend and said, see a same court say in a fear. Anna, a cram one a coin. Then yet, and what Payobi so being set at a beer and yet black. And a lumpono, and no part rest. So it's not true. Nana Bia no also they were justified to have done what they did. I didn't know about patrol. Said the only year, you know, when you had the pack. Now, I'm going to pay for no money pushing the Yamanenka. Oh, yes, I do. Sir, and somewhere a woman kind of Basabasa, he is starting low. In a new campaign song, he said, and there's Kumia, my promise, and I want for Philip promise, and I NDC for you and shut at their pan. It's all Ugo's excuse. The most important thing is that could here over the team. Come as I and be could now say not. Oh, come in 4 p.m. Also, when you lose with you. Then it's first maybe difference 4,000 and a beer gun. May touch and a million say. A Jumaya, and Kobodia Akoso. Engagements are also. Oh, and you're feeling a better than yes, I am being by 6 p.m. Lawyer Bernard Pediaco. Our actually said the only our being. Being our particular constituency said, on your stranger of the action winchi or your action this year. And this year, you know, said, you're the name of see, and let's see a good name. Now, what in your boy, I'm a Punjuma about Akotiano. Minus programs are a baby. No, never lobby. The Enka development, your universal. Nanado, Enka community mining, OCC, Akotia, come on. That one, and the individuals have a role in development. Yeah, okay. Your PMP, Obetimia ensure that yeah, mining, responsible mining, yeah. Cooperative mining, baby. The Timia Wabwa, Akotia miners, Nano, now, Omotiga, ye, no one and Passoa, my buying so, and Yan and Passoa. Go cook here for your new weddings, our swore. Feed Ghana program, yeah, they bring with me, Akotia for Benabi. Nanado, Abreso, or Yakaniba. Now, it's not a secret. Everybody knows that. And see, a deficiency in development. Will be already 8 years, will be already 8 months, will be 1 year. Inquire, acquire a young year. You can't say the crowd will be 1 year. They quite do one and another. I want you in the backyard. I can assure you, sir, by 6 p.m. tomorrow. NDC will win that seat. And with a peaceful election, peaceful outcome. There will not be any single incident that will depend on the NDC to affect this election. I can give you that assurance as my senior brother and your stakeholders. Be able to back. Be also to the exam not near the actually exams natural and social. When I be so no about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I mean, I said, even I have a election. But I'm saying that when I be by election, you know, on Friday, Akotia so be a General Secretary was in Akotia on Thursday night on Mayor Vigil. That was the only time one of General Secretary Baha.
All right. Eti mo candidate no or number saying.
Number 2. Said Napo Chile number 2.
Said Napo Chile.
I said Napo the Akotia. I know copy Ghana and Koya number 2. A draft only they be only in this before no.
Na Mustafa Kasabana Kasa Basa say what's it?
Napo honorable Matthew Poku Prempe. Oba Akotia so be campaign. We are not copy Ghana as the number 2. And I feel the American number 1 copy Ghana. So I know 20 December campaign.
Well, Metro, the production team, no, we are not clear with that video, no. Am I? In them say difficult. Mameno Asi Mustafa, yejidi se nyami adma your election headquarters, yibisha wachina. Na fi ya hwese, ensema yabidi huwa dansi ya chire